Hey, what's up guys, my name is Cherno and welcome to episode 21 of the Sparky game engine series in which we make a game engine from scratch in C++. So today we're going to be talking about extending our font functionality a little bit to include different fonts and whatnot. So right now, if we launch our game to just see where we left off. We left off with this stuff. We had FPS printing using a certain font and whatnot, and it was all good. But the problem is, our current workflow for drawing this stuff is as follows. Labels, we only specify, this is all we see. So remember, main.cpp is like it's like an example game. So this is everything that gets exposed by the engine, everything that isn't internally in the engine can be visible here. So anything that we can't do from main means it's not actually exposed by the engine, which could be a bad thing, right? So anyway, what I'm saying is, when we create this label, we give it a few parameters, right? We give it text, we give it an X and a Y, like any other renderable, and we give it a color, but we don't actually give it a font at all, ever, right? It doesn't have a font. It should, probably, right? Because what if I want to draw it in a different font? Right now, we've only got one font, essentially, and it's the source, so, what was it actually? Source Pro Sans or something. Let me just check. Documents, Visual Studio projects. Source Sans Pro. So that's the font we're using for this current printing, right? And we're shipping that with the engine. So that being said, that's kind of what's going on, right? What if I want to use a different font? Well, right now you can't, because the way we've set it up, well, you can, but the way we've set it up is in the batch renderer itself, we're loading the font in, right? And that's cool and stuff, but it's not something we want to do, because we want to make a font class, a font object, which has an atlas and a font. That's what we want to do, and then we want to be like, actually use this font instead. And the best thing is about this, is that once we make a font manager class, which is just going to be like an array of fonts, but you can search them by name, for example, this is going to be a really simple thing. So we might go something like label FPS, whatever, and when we make the label, we might specify something like, well, we have a color, and we'll have something like Arial. Done, right? Which is going to make it really easy, okay? And we, in fact, Arial maybe, and then the size. Or in fact, we can probably just specify an actual font object. So without further ado, let's go into our source files under graphics, and we'll create a new item called font.cpp. And similarly, under header files, we'll also create under graphics a new file that is called font.h, which is our header file. And I'm going to close pretty much everything else. Well, we've got a lot of stuff open. Okay, so pragma once, that header file. Namespace Sparky, namespace graphics. So font. So a font is going to have a few things. A font is namely going to have exactly what our batch renderer has. So in terms of these things. So these two atlas, these again shouldn't be part of this at all. The renderer shouldn't have such low-level knowledge about fonts, okay? So we'll include a free type GL, which I think is over here. And again, we'll get rid of that. So we're not going to expose anything to it. It'll be better that way. Oh. No, yeah. I'm not going to expose anything to it, so I'm going to keep the font class implementation specific. It's going to be better that way for sure. Anyway, now that we've got this, where were we in batch renderer? We're in the same. That's odd. We're in the same. We're in the same thing. Oh, it probably would have made it. Yes. Goodness, that's annoying. Okay, so it made the file in the wrong place. Yay. Let's go back to here, because it doesn't know the actual setup of these files. Font is not in the right location. Let's scroll up and pop it into graphics. Okay, so now that we're in graphics, this should work. But it's not. So this is what? That's weird. So back to boom, boom, and into, no, wait, it's supposed to go, yes, into XT. What? That is wrong. That's because it's, oh, goodness me. It doesn't, I don't think it's let go of it. See, this is why Visual Studio is a bit annoying, and that's why I like using the show all files thing. It probably still thinks, let's just remove this. So we'll go into here. Here are our fonts. Okay, so they are, let's include these in project. Okay, there we go. So it's a bit annoying. Anyway, we've got our font things here. We'll also have stuff like size. So there's probably an unsigned int. Okay. Now we can start our public stuff. So font, when we create a new font, we want to do a few things. We probably want to take in a file name, right? We'll just take it in as a string. So we'll take in a file name, so we'll have a, m file name, and we'll also have a std string, which is name. So we give it a name, we give it a file name, and we give it a size. Okay, so let's include string. Okay, so there we go. So there's our font constructor. Let's just think of a few things we might want to do, like get name, for example. And get file name. This might be good for debugging and whatnot. I'm making getters for all those things, and then get size might be useful as well. Yeah, constant. Don't need a reference there. Get size. All right. So we've got a few getters. We need to make some getters for these objects probably. Again, we don't really, the best thing to do in this case is actually going to be to go to our batch renderer.cpp and actually just look through it. Okay, so this is, yeah, we'll copy that stuff in a minute, but look through what we actually need. Okay, so let's get rid of this. We have to look through what we actually need. So you can see we need a texture ID, right? We need a texture glyph. So we need to somehow grab glyphs. This is where it becomes a bit difficult because, and remember, the reason we get the glyphs is very straightforward. We only get the glyphs to retrieve a few information about the glyphs, such as the kerning, the offsets, and the width, and all of the texture stuff, and the advanced X and the scale Y. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to make it. I might make it in the future. I might make it API independent, but right now it is going to be API dependent because it's just going to be way too much work, and there's no reason to do it because I don't think we'll ever use whoops, I meant FTGL. I don't think we'll ever use any other font thing anyway. All right, cool. So now all we need to do is implement stuff like the constructor. So in the CPP file for font, which is over here, let's include fonts, grab our namespaces. Okay, so font, let's grab our parameters. Okay, so we'll set mname name. So this is just any name that you give the font. I probably have some kind of documentation as well eventually, but not now. M file name, oops, file name. M size, oops, size. Okay, so this needs to do this stuff. So let's cut this and pop it over here. Yes, so this stuff will probably stay the same, and then this stuff is what will be a bit different. So I think what I'll do is I will, yeah, so this is looking pretty good. We might make a default constructor. So what if you're like, oh, I just want the default font or whatever. So yeah, so we might do something like, I don't know, this might be useful, right? So we'll give it a size. All right, and in fact, we'll specify a name. This will actually be very confusing for people. Instead, we'll have probably some kind of create default. I don't know. I won't deal with default fonts for now. If you want a font, you have to explicitly load it. There'll be a system font that gets loaded by the actual game engine. If people want a default font, they can just do this. Okay, and then this has to be the file name. And I'll save that for now. Okay, and the C string of the file name. Okay, cool. So there we go. We've got our font set up now. What we need, let's go back to batch renderer. What do we need? So we clearly need to get an ID. So what we're going to do is it's going to draw a string from a bunch of things, unsigned in color. It needs to have a font though. So const font. So we want to do stuff. We want to be able to do stuff like font dot get ID. Yeah. So let's implement that feature by feature, I think. So back here, we will include font. In fact, font will include this, so we can get rid of that. So include font. We'll move that up to the top. So it's in alphabetical order. Maybe. And then we'll do stuff that's external here. There we go. Nice. So back out here in font, so we need get ID. So inline const, this is like an OpenGL int, but get ID, and I think it's a unsigned int. Return mft atlas ID. What is that exactly though? It's an unsigned int. Beautiful. Okay, so this is now get ID. Oh, I need to mark hit const. Okay, then we need, that's the same thing. Font.getID. Okay, so then we need to get glyphs. I'll make a get glyph thing. No, I won't. Okay, so this is where my exposure to this kind of stops. So we'll have a few things. We'll have inline this thing, get ft font, so free type gl font, ft gl font, I'll call it, const, and this will return mft font. I'll just call it ft font, free type font. And then atlas. Do we need that? Do we need that at all, actually, the atlas? I don't think we do. Yes, we do, because we need to... Wait, do we? No, we don't need the atlas. Okay, that makes things easier. Okay, so now we do this. Oh, and a few things that I didn't do. Oh, I did. So that returns a pointer. Good. Just a pointer. All good in the hood. So font equal ft font equals font.get ft font. Okay, now that stuff gets replaced there. And we've got the glyph stuff, and everything else is good in the hood. Okay, great. That's it. That's really all we needed to do. And we've got a color, and a font will... Yeah, so color is separate from font. That's kind of important, I would say. So we've got, yeah, so font, text, position. Is that a good order, or is that a good order of parameters? We can probably set a default color as well if we wanted to. So we got the, so let's just look, I'm not sure. I'm just kind of thinking about how we would call something like this. So if we're making a label, for example, or in fact draw string, so it gets called font, hello, like the X and Y, for example, and then a color. Or do we want this to be first or last? Like that. Yeah, I think that might look a bit better actually. So we'll pop the font just before the color. And then we've got this position here as well. Okay, cool. That looks good. So the font details are grouped, and then this is just the actual stuff we're drawing. I like that. So let's go back into the header file. We'll add that in. We'll have to go here and add that in here. Okay, and we should probably include font here instead. So font. And then we won't have to do it in batch render. Batch renderer, rather. Done. Okay, cool. In fact, renderable 2D we shouldn't need either, because we should have that. So I'm just sorting out, because it says renderables. Oh, but this is, yeah, we can't include it there, that's right. Wait, renderables know about renderer, do they? Why? Oh, because of submit? Yes, because of submit. That makes more sense. Okay. Okay. So all is good in the hood. I'm actually operating in release mode. Oh, all is not good in the hood. Okay, so this is the label stuff. So this becomes a bit different now. So label will have a font. It needs a font. So font, probably have a pointer to a font, and it won't have a destruct. It won't destroy the font as well. So label will take in all this stuff, and then font. Why is this here? Why are we doing this? That's so weird. What? What? What is going on here? Oh, that's right. We're aliasing it. Ah, I was confused. Font. I didn't call it that. Font equals font. We can just do that in here though. Alright, cool. Everything looks good. So then here we just pass mfont in when we draw a string. Alright, cool. That's looking pretty good, I think. Maybe not. No, they wanted a cons pointer, huh? Wait, did they? Wow. No, they shouldn't. Really? Oh, that's right. It's taking in a const reference. So that's a bit annoying. Maybe we should store it as a reference then. No, we need to store it as a pointer. Okay, that's fine. We can just do that. Doesn't matter, really. Okay, let's just build this and see a few errors we get from the usage errors, like right here. So this is the FPS. So now we can specify font. So we can be like, let's grab a font. So this is why we need a font manager, but font equals new font. So we'll call it Arial. It will be, well, actually it's not Arial. Source Sans Pro, right? Yep. So you can call it whatever you want. Then this is the actual file name, and then you give it a size like 32, and then you're like font, All right, and then that should work. No, it goes next to here. All right. So we should get the same results, and we do. Fantastic. Cool. So now let's make a font manager, because that would make more sense. So in graphics, I'm going to make so font manager is, again, just something that stores a bunch of fonts. So font manager.h and font manager.cpp. So pragma wants include font manager. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and sneak into, well, so font is kind of what it's going to do, but we'll just grab this. And put it here. I wish Visual Studio wouldn't do that. It's a bit annoying. Okay, so class font manager. So this is one of those static things, by the way. This isn't something that you make an instance of. This has, yeah, this is just something that kind of exists statically. So what it will have is a private static std vector of fonts, basically. That's all. It's pretty basic. We'll see how it works. And I'm literally creating this on. All right, sorry about that. My video cut off. I am creating this on the fly, by the way, so I've got no idea if this will work. Well, it will, but what I'm saying is, if I go and change the design multiple times whilst coding this, is because I'm doing this stuff live, and I don't know. So M fonts. So this is the main kind of thing. So we should add this in here. Okay. Now that's done. Let's so font manager. Okay, so it will have I guess it'll have a private constructor then, because it's not really meant to be constructed at all. It might have something like init and clean. I don't know. We'll see. So font manager. So we'll have something like void add font. We'll have void remove. We don't really need remove. Let's not have remove. Let's have add, and then we'll have void. So void, like destroy. What should we call it? Like the shutdown thing. Clean or something. I don't know. That sounds dangerous though. And these are all going to be static voids. I'm thinking, well, like, because GLFW would have something like, what did it use again? I'm just thinking. Terminate. So we don't font manager terminate. I don't know. Clean. So clean will actually just get rid of everything. So this is what you need to do at the end. This is like our destructor. It's going to be called clean. So, yes, and then this is private to make sure that no one can construct a font manager, because you shouldn't, you should never do that. So, void, font manager, add. So, mfonts.pushback font. Oh, and then we have to have get. That's kind of the most important thing, isn't it? And then we have clean, which just goes for in I equals 0, I is less than mfonts dot size I plus plus. And we should have really something like this, but for textures, by the way. But mfonts I, so delete mfonts I. Okay, good. So now that we've got that, we definitely need to do something like that in the destructor for fonts, by the way. I didn't think of that. We'll do that in a minute. Okay, so static void get. In fact, we'll probably overload the... That'll be interesting, actually. We can overload the, like, the index operators, the subscript operator. We'll see. So get std string name. And we can not. No, I don't want to copy it though. And it's going to return a font pointer. So, what this does is very simple. We'll say, yeah, font. So, wait, font manager. So it's going to go through, we can just use a for each loop here. So for fonts, we'll say that if font get name equals name, return font, return null or something, null pointer. Okay, there we go. So this is a quick little algorithm that will just linearly search all our fonts for the name that we specify and return the appropriate one, or null pointer if that's not the case. I'm not sure if I want to do this. Maybe return a default font instead. Maybe for debug it will return null pointer, and for release mode or something it will return like an actual font. Just because, yeah, but then I guess you could check for it and see if it. There's a few different ways to do this. Anyway, that's looking pretty good. We can get fonts by name. We can't get them by memory address. We might want to have this. We might want to have get name and size. So, and I'll do unsigned int instead. Okay, so what this will do is the same, except it'll also check to see if font. In fact, I think if we do this check faster, if we just this check first, it'll probably be faster. I'm not 100% sure in release mode, but it should be. Okay, cool. And I'll add that to the to-do. Okay, cool. So there we go. Now we're checking size, and yeah, because again, we can have multiple. This will just return the first font with the name, but not the size. Okay, that is looking pretty good. So, the idea is very simple. At the end, so we need to use font manager basically. So at the end, and I'll just include this for now here, you need to make sure that you, like with this delete texture, you call font manager clean. That'll just delete everything. I guess you don't have to do that, but you will probably want to. And then we will, so this font that we create, for example, this new font, and we've given it a name, Source Sans Pro, we can cut that out, and we just go font manager, add that. Okay, cool. So we give it a new font. And then over here, we simply call font manager get Source Sans Pro, like that. And that should just functionally work the same as it did before. And you can see it does, okay? But what's new is that, again, it's something that we use a font manager instead, so we're never constructing that. And then you can probably say, I want size 32 as well, and it will get you that. We could make something that it will construct all the sizes we need. So we could make get, this is another thing that I'm probably going to leave up to you guys. So if you want to leave a comment below on the YouTube video, I'm also live streaming this, so people in the stream feel free to contribute, but I'll probably be checking the comments in the YouTube video. Whether or not we want get to make the font if it doesn't exist. Obviously, you can't make a font based on name, but for example, if you specify a font that it does find, so it does find that, but it doesn't find the size of 32, maybe it should make it, because it's got because from this it can get the file name and check that stuff out. Obviously, because if it finds the font object, font has get file name. Font has get file name, so we can look at that and then reload and basically construct a new font based on that file name with the same name but with a different size. So that's something else that could be done. But that looks pretty good. So let's add a few things for label, a few new things for label. So let's make label take in a font. So let's make it take in a string as a const reference. So this is going to do the same thing as the other constructor. Except it will actually just go font manager get name. And similarly, we should probably make one that works for size as well. But these are just a few things that will probably make your life a bit easier. So we're not specifying sizes at all. So string font int size. And then we got color. So back here, let's copy that. Size. Which we'll just add that here. And then of course it's not name, it's font. And all is good in the hood. So there we go. That should work. So if I, instead of having to use this now, I should be able to just say both that, providing it exists. If it doesn't, it'll crash with a null pointer. It should probably print something at least, right? And then I can also do that, which will look a bit cleaner. So there you go. It's up to you. But if we do something like this, something that won't be equal, then it will just crash with a bad access or something. Yeah. Well, access violation is the same as bad access because it's null. So what we should do is probably render using a default font as long as our specified one is null. So we'll make label do that, and we won't make renderer do that. So if it tries to do this, and if we could just do something actually like validate font, because we're going to do it twice. That's all. That's why I'm going to make it into a function. Okay, so we're going to validate the font, and we're going to say that if mfont equals null pointer, then we've got a problem. So we should probably log this. So we'll just say the problem is, we'll pass in the name. So we'll do this. This will take in a name and a size, which will by default be -1. So -1 means the size wasn't specified or something. So we'll do something like null font, and then font equals name, and then we'll say if size doesn't equal -1, or size is greater than 0. You can't have a 0-sized font, I don't think. So if size is greater than 0, then we'll say size equals... oh, that's annoying. Okay, we'll split this up. Size equals size. So we'll do that, else nothing. And then we'll do the same thing. So this time we're just shuffling size. See, that's why I thought it'd be annoying. And it is, because they're different types. Okay, yeah, whatever. We'll just say if size greater than 0, size okay, so now we've got a decent like log of what happens if the font could not pass validation. So at least it's telling us. And then what will happen if that happens, by the way? So font manager, the first time we try and add some, in fact, this should just happen upon starting, right? So what should happen is when we start our game, the window will need a font. So what will happen is, what window will do is when it starts, if everything goes correctly and this returns true, which will be the case, we're going to go ahead and say font manager add, and then new font, and this will be that font thing. This, basically, it will do this. So there'll be a default font, because that's kind of important. We could probably just get the font manager to get cleaned up upon exit. We'll still make it public, but yeah, that would be when the window closes. That's probably better, I think. Okay, so it will add this stuff so that we can do that, so that it can print log messages and whatever. But this will be interesting, I think. Because what will happen is if we do something like that, what we'll do is we'll simply change this to something that it knows exists. So we're actually handling this. This is actually going to be quite a nice episode because we're actually doing like proper work, I guess. Font equals font manager get source sans pro. What's that? Font. What's that? Yeah, that's good. And that return what? No, it's const. Let's not make it const. And also let's just refactor this a little bit to say that if it doesn't equal null pointer, just return. That way we get the whole function to ourselves. Okay, there we go. So it'll set a default font, which is nice. And if we really wanted to, we could also get it to change our text to be like, could not load font. So that would be interesting. But we've kind of given a good scenario here. So if we launch this, it won't crash or anything. It will still work, but it will print out null font. Font equals source sans pro. So you can see it couldn't find that font. Alternatively, if we do use the correct font, but we specify a size, such as 50, that doesn't exist, it will tell us. Yeah, font equals source sans pro, size equals 50. So that's good. We've got some decent logging now for the font manager, I think. Yeah, so pretty good. Any questions? Leave them in the comments below. And I guess we'll move on to the next episode. Is there anything else I wanted to cover? Not really. So yeah, you can add a few different things, and I've specifically used a size that that doesn't work. So great. All right, let's build it for both debug and release. Okay, and we will push it. So thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'll see you next time when we do audio. So that should be fun. Actually, wait a minute. Oh, no, that's fine. I thought that was a real error message, but it's not. Goodbye. Whoa.